Hello beautiful people, and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a what's for dinner. As usual, I do have some low carb and keto recipes for you guys, and I'm super excited to share it. If you are new, hi, my name is Andrea. Thanks so much for stopping by, and let's go ahead and get into the first recipe. So on this night, I decided to make a variation of the Pioneer Woman's meatloaf. I basically just used her exact recipe with the exception of switching out some of the spices, and I also did not add the bacon that she uses for her meatloaf. I just didn't think that that would be the flavor I was going for. So first you're just going to start out with some slices of bread, and you're going to soak those in milk for about 5 minutes. After that time, you are going to add in your meat and some Parmesan cheese. You're also going to add in some eggs, and then you're going to add in your seasonings. So I did garlic powder, onion powder. I did the Trader Joe's 21 seasoning salute. I think I did salt and pepper as well, but I will have the original recipe linked down below in the description box so you can follow along with that. I also, I guess, added some parsley in there as well, and really you can season this however you want, and that's kind of what I did. Now that all your seasonings are added, you're going to want to combine all the ingredients together. I'm using gloves because I don't want my hands to get all yucky, but you're just going to want to combine everything, and you don't want to mix it too much because it says that if you overmix the meat, it can like lose flavor, which I guess that makes sense, but you just want to make sure everything's nice and combined. And once it is, you are going to get a baking pan, not a loaf pan, okay, just a flat baking sheet, and then you are going to take your meat, and I did spray it with some cooking spray, and you're just going to plop your meat on there and form it into a loaf. Once you have your loaf ready, you are going to make the glaze that goes on top. This is the best glaze that I've ever had in my entire life. You're just going to need some ketchup, some brown sugar, dry mustard, and a dash of Tabasco sauce. I typically do not like meatloaf at all. I haven't had meatloaf in years. I haven't made meatloaf in years, but my husband was requesting it, and I wanted to make him some meatloaf. This is the best meatloaf recipe I've ever tasted, and I really think a lot of it has to do with the simplicity of the meat and the glaze that goes on top. And you're gonna brush half of the glaze on top, and then you're gonna pop it into your preheated oven at 350 degrees, and you're gonna bake it for 45 minutes. And then once it is completed, you're gonna bring it out, and you're gonna add the remainder of that glaze on top. You're gonna brush it on top, and then you're gonna cook it for an additional 25 minutes. Lastly, you're gonna let the meat sit about 10 minutes before slicing, but this is the finished product, and I'm not even kidding, this is the best meatloaf I've ever had. Highly recommend you trying this recipe. So on this night, I am making keto chicken fritters. So these are super simple, and they're very comparable to like the salmon fritters, if you've ever had those. I ate those growing up and probably ate too many of them because now I just can't stand them. But I decided to make these chicken fritters because they sounded really good. And I am using canned chicken, and I just let that drain really well. Then you're gonna add in some almond flour, about 1/3 cup. You're gonna add in your cheese, which is the shredded mozzarella. You're gonna add about 1 cup of that. Then you're gonna add in your seasonings, which are 2 tablespoons of fresh basil, 2 tablespoons of chives, 2 tablespoons of parsley, 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder, some sea salt, and some fresh ground pepper. So this recipe called for 2 eggs. I did not have any eggs on hand, so I am using just some yogurt, which I read online that you can substitute eggs for in certain recipes. So next you're just gonna combine everything, making sure all the ingredients are mixed well. And then you're going to preheat a frying pan with some olive oil. I ended up completely pulverizing the first batch of these, so I decided to bust out my trusty air fryer and put them in there, and they turned out so crispy and so delicious. I guess I just needed some nonstick pans to make this work, and I just don't own any of those. So if you have an air fryer, I highly recommend trying that. Otherwise, just use your regular nonstick pan. So as you can see here, they look all nice and pretty and normal, but when I tried to flip these things, it was not it. So the next batch, as I said, went into the air fryer, and here I am pulling them out. Sorry, it's really dark. I didn't realize it until it's too late, but these turned out so crispy and so delicious. And I think if I was to make them again, I would not use canned chicken, but the canned chicken was okay, so you can use that as well. But they were just very flavorful and very delicious, and we all enjoyed them. Even Manny liked them. So the next night I am making keto cracked chicken in the crock pot. You're just gonna start out with some chicken broth and some chicken breast. I've made this recipe on my channel before. I'm pretty sure it's super easy and delicious. So if you haven't made it, I recommend trying it out. And then once you add your chicken breast, you're just gonna top that with a packet of Hidden Valley Ranch seasoning. I'm just using the Walmart brand. And I'm also only using 2 chicken breasts because it's just Matt and I eating this tonight. And then you're just going to cover and cook that on low for about 6 hours. And then about an hour before you're going to serve it, you're going to add in your cream cheese. And it does call for crumbled bacon. I didn't have any bacon, so I just left this out. But as always, I will, well, not as always, but newly as always, I will add the recipe in the description box so you can follow it word for word. And then you're going to just blend up, or shred the chicken, I guess I should say. And I'm just using my hand blender. And then once you have all that mixed up, you're going to add in half a cup of shredded cheddar cheese, and then just mix that well again. And then I decided to make these into like kind of quesadillas or wraps. So I just put them on a low carb tortilla and brown them up in the pan. And I also served these with some French fries, which I guess kind of defeats the whole purpose of it being low carb or keto, but that's okay. I only had a few, so I was trying to be good, but you know, sometimes you gotta indulge a little bit. You know, life is short, and if you're trying to make good decisions, every once in a while it's okay to eat something a little junky or indulge. So these turned out so delicious, and I think the next time I make this, I will try them on a bun. And on the last night, I am making keto biscuits and gravy. This was my most favorite recipe for the week, and I actually made it twice, if that tells you anything. So you're just gonna start out with some almond flour. That's gonna be the base of your biscuits. So for the biscuit recipe, you're just gonna need 1.5 cups of almond flour. You're gonna need 2 teaspoons of baking powder. You're also going to use 2 tablespoons of cold butter, and you're gonna slice that really, really finely. And then you're going to get 3 egg whites, half a teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon of garlic powder, and half a teaspoon of chili powder. And then you're just going to mix that well. If you have a stand-up mixer, that would probably work better, but I just have a hand mixer, so that's what I'm using. And I don't know what that little hand movement was. I guess that was my like witchy poo voodoo, trying to hope and pray that these biscuits turn out good. Now that you have everything mixed well, you're just gonna take an ice cream scooper and you're gonna scoop out the biscuits onto a greased pan, or you can use a muffin pan, and you're gonna preheat the oven for 400 degrees and you're gonna let those bake for about 10 to 15 minutes until they get nice and golden brown. So while the biscuits are baking, you are going to start your gravy. So you're gonna need a pound of breakfast sausage. You're gonna need 2 ounces of cream cheese, half a cup of heavy cream, 1/4 cup of broth, and then you're gonna add salt and pepper to taste. I'm just gonna tell you guys right now, I was a little like, I don't know, because I am a like expert at gravy biscuits, like Southern style sausage and gravy biscuits. And when I saw that there was like no flour, no, you know, the traditional things that you put in here, I was like, I don't know about that. But it turned out so delicious, and you see me, I'm scraping up those yummy bits from the sausage. And then once you have everything melted down, you're gonna add the sausage back to the pan and just stir everything together. This was so tasty. I mean, it was so flavorful. It was a little cheesy, you know, like because of the cream cheese, but it wasn't overpowering where you're like, oh, this is cream cheese. Like, it really did taste like a nice, thick, heavy gravy. And then these are the biscuits after they come out of the oven. They were a little bit dry, which is expected with the almond flour, but it just turned out so good with the gravy. And if you're gonna make any of the recipes, I recommend making this one. So I just wanna thank you guys so much for watching today. If you like this video, make sure you give it a big old thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. And as always, thanks for being my kind weird. Bye.